How's it going, guys? A lot of cool things happening to my channel, and I'm happening to be reviewing a lot of brand new lights that all the YouTube channels don't get to review firsthand yet. And again, I'm reviewing a brand new release from GVM. This is the GVM R50R288 2L. This is a kit, and this is actually an RGB/CCT light. It's very similar to the 50RS, and I'm going to be showing you guys all the features that the 50RS doesn't have. And just a quick disclaimer, this video is not sponsored by GVM, and they sent me this kit here for free to test it out. And of course I get to keep the light, and that stops right there. Everything else is how I feel about the light. I review this light any way I see fit. There's no approvals, nothing to send to them. I just upload the video and that's pretty much it. And here's the 50RS Mark II that comes with the effect and everything, one of the most popular lights that GVM sells. But this light here has a couple of things that this light does not have, which makes this light now my favorite light in its class with the GVM series, because this light over here, to obtain the maximum softest diffusion, is to put the extra diffuser that comes shipped and included with this light here, and you cannot use the barn doors, which, by the way, I don't find it that useful to use barn doors, so I actually remove the barn doors, as you can see. So every time I want an extra diffusion, I have to kind of screw the little panel here. So with that aside, this light here, it has the CCT temperature from 2700 degrees Kelvin all the way to 10,000. This one here doesn't have that. And again, the biggest selling point of this light here is the actual diffuser that comes built in with this light. You can barely see the LEDs here, so you're not going to need the external diffusers or anything over here that you're going to put in front of the light. This is ready to go for your key light, and this is a 50-watt light. You can use one of these lights for key lights, the other one to shine some lights in the background, as you can see here, and also mount this light on the boom for a hair light. You can also use this light for accents, you know, behind products and hiding behind a couch or whatever to glow something on the background. So there are many uses for this light, and just so you know, this light does not come included with any barn doors, although there is a screw here on the sides to put a barn door here. I'm not sure if that's an accessory that you buy extra, probably, but if you're trying to fit the 50RS's barn door here, it's not going to fit because the panels, they are smaller than the 50RS, so the barn door here is going to be kind of a swing around here, and if you attempt to install the barn door, you will probably break the barn door because there's about a 1/4 inch distance until it fits flush from the plastic here. And I'm not sure what these protrusions are here. I'm not sure what accessories they have in mind to be purchasing separate in the future or right now. So I actually have a ND gel here, just in case I want to make these lights darker than the already 1%. So all you gotta do is slide this thing here, and as you can see, you have a ND filter here. So of course this is a very soft little thing here, so if you want to tilt the light like this, the gel will fall, so you're gonna have to secure here with a tape. And again, I'm not sure what accessory that they have in mind here, but I'm very curious to see what it is. If you don't want the light to spill all over the place, because this is what's gonna happen if you crank this up, or at any percentage, the light is gonna be spilling all over the place because the light is open. There's no barn doors, there's no grids. So if they made a grid that slides here with the actual grid material here, that's going to help you to tunnel the light exactly where you want the light to hit. This is something very important that I would like the factory to know about that, because this is probably something they never thought about it, because I've never seen a GVM or I never seen a grid design for this light here, other than third-party panels in which we can actually attach an actual little softbox here that will fit lights of this size here, and also it comes included with a grid. But again, if they made a dedicated grid for this, that would be super awesome, because I would love to have them taking advantages of this slots over here. So I'm gonna do a quick walk around with the hardware, the external hardware of the light here. This diffuser panel here is pretty well made. It's kind of thick, and I don't see this thing breaking anytime unless you drop the light, of course. And here's the back of the panel, like any other GVM lights you've seen before. The left knob is the brightness from 0 to 1%, all the way to 100%. Requires just a few turns. I'm not sure if they actually did something to improve the software here, because a lot of people have been complaining in the past that this light only went from 5% increments. So GVM listened to the feedback, and they actually started to incorporate the 1% increment on every single light now that they make. So I'm actually at 1%. Let's see how long it will take to reach 100%. So it's about 5-ish turns. So to turn it back off here, yeah, 5-6 turns, it's not that bad. And on the right knob on CCT mode, it varies from 2700 degrees Kelvin all the way up to 10,000 degrees Kelvin. Since this light here offers a wide variety of Kelvin degrees, so when you are actually on daylight, just keep in mind that you're going to see both LEDs, the tungsten combined with the daylight, to actually favor the 5600 degrees Kelvin or anything between here. When you press this button here, it allows you to go from CCT to the RGB, also controls its saturation, and then back to CCT. And when you press the Wi-Fi reset mode, you can go from master to the Wi-Fi, actually accessing the effects, also a rotate, which is similar to master, and slave, and then back to master. When you select slave, that's when these channels are very useful, and make sure all the lights are sharing the same exact channel. In this case here, I have all the lights set to channel 0. If you happen to want to change to another channel, for example channel 4, every single other light will have to share the same exact channel, otherwise they're not going to respond when you are on slave mode. And another thing, if you don't know already, when you are on slave, these buttons temporarily do not work. They are locked because they will need the light on master to control this light here. As soon as you go back to any setting other than slave, the buttons will work again to default. And again, to access the effects of this light, keep pressing the Wi-Fi reset mode button here until you see the effects. The first one should be the lightning, and then you have the cop car, candle, TV, bed bulb, party, disco, paparazzi, and back to lightning. So here's a wider demonstration here when this light is set to master and the other ones are set to slave. For example, right now I'm at 5600 degrees Kelvin. You can actually control here. The other light is going to do the same exact thing. Go back to 10,000 Kelvin. The other light is going to do the same thing. And then you press the button again. There's your RGB. And this other light is going to actually respond the same exact way. And here's the saturation. But just so you know, on a slave mode and the app mode, you cannot control the effect simultaneously. Each individual light is going to have its own effect control. If this system here was the actual Bluetooth system, you could actually control the effects simultaneously on this light and every single other light connected to the same ID channel here. Other than that, everything that you want to do with this light, the other light is going to respond. Besides the physical knobs and controls here, as you know, the GVM makes an app called GVM Easily app, which is the Wi-Fi app, which by the way, they also make Bluetooth lights such as this one here, the GVM RGB 20 watts. This is actually a Bluetooth device, and they made a different app for that. But these lights here, they still rely on the Wi-Fi. And this button over here is a Wi-Fi reset button, which you must select Wi-Fi first before your phone can detect the light present. Not only can you change the password of this light, you can also change the ID of the light. Instead of the default name GVM_LED, you can change to whatever name that you want. I usually like to input the actual name of the light, in this case, the GVM R50R288. So when I go to my app there on my phone settings, on the Wi-Fi, I know what network it is, which is this model here, in case I'm gonna use this light for master and the other ones as slave. And on the back of the panel, as you expect, the whole thing is made of metal, including the rear panel, the yoke, including the 5/8 spigot here. I'm not sure about the red. A lot of people might like the red, but I'm a big fan of the black to keep things like, unnoticed, but they have unusual little red color here. Another good thing that I like about this light here regarding the AC power switch here is because when you are actually plugging your Sony MPF batteries and also at the same time having the power adapter plugged in here, it's a safe thing for your batteries, because when you are on AC, voltage does not flow here. What I'm trying to say here, if one of your lights, they only have the on and off switch, and you actually happen to have your Sony MPF installed here, dangerous voltages can actually flow here, because the circuit is for one thing, for this plug here and also for this battery compartment here. So this is the type of voltage that flows here that has nothing to do with the proper voltage that charges your battery. So the voltage here, I think, is going to be probably 15 volts, which has, again, nothing to do charging this battery. So if you have a light with the on and off simple switch, just make sure you only use the AC adapter or the batteries, but not at the same time. And this light here, you can actually use the batteries hooked up here, even though you are on AC mode, without any danger of damaging your battery, because there's no voltage flowing here when you are on DC mode. And again, we have a beautiful diffuser here, which helps a lot as a key light, if that's the only light that you have. If you don't have an actual light with a big softbox, which is also the most advisable thing to do, get the biggest softbox that you can find, so it actually fills the whole thing, and get it as close as possible to you so you can have more control. But if this is the only light that you have, I'm gonna kill my main light here to show you what's going on. I'm shooting with the Canon C100 Mark II with the 24-105 lens, which is a f4 lens. The ISO right now is 640, and the shutter is 1/100th of a second. Just to give you an idea, some situations that will require a very dim light for whatever purpose that you're doing. Maybe a subject is very close to the light, whatever that is, but the very gentle initial power output on the LEDs is a very good thing for cinematography. So I'm actually going to put my face here as close as possible to this diffuser, almost touching the thing. As you can see, you can barely see my face lit. So not only can you have this light down to 1%, you can actually turn it off as 0% and start with a very delicate amount of light output here to whatever purpose that you need, all the way to as bright as a 50-watt light can go, which is pretty bright. So here's my main key light. You can also use this as a fill, and that very little 1%, it helps a lot, so you can actually fine-tune the exact amount of fill they want without equally lighting the face like this. So you can actually choose the 1%, 3%, and I'm at 5600 degrees Kelvin, in which of course you can actually ramp down all the way down to 2700 degrees Kelvin to around 5600 and all the way to 10,000 degrees Kelvin. And you also notice that when you bring this light to the middle, which is about 4300 degrees Kelvin, you're going to have a slightly brighter exposure because all the LEDs are coming at the same time. There are some lights that GVM makes that, you know, when you do that, everything compensates, so everything is the same exposure. But this light here, be prepared to deal with some exposure changes on your camera if you wish to have your light set to in between the both LEDs 50-50. Currently I'm using this light as a master and this one as the slave, and everything this light will do, the other light, as you've probably seen many times, will do the same exact thing. So when you actually tap the button here to exit the CCT to go to the RGB, requires just a simple little touch here, and then as you can see the other light is going to respond the same way, and here you control the amount of brightness. There's a slight delay there. And again, that's another beautiful thing about the minimum 1% light intensity that they did here for properly exposing the lights on the camera. Instead of washing everything out like this here, you can actually see the proper colors of the RGB. So this is at 0%, 1%, 2%, 3%. You probably can go 4, I'm gonna go 3. And you can also go from the reds all the way to the whole RGB spectrum here. And another thing that I have noticed here, the GVM also improved the software that I'm going to have to up the intensity for about 10% here. Let me show you this here. So when you actually dial in the RGB colors, there's no more sudden jumps like the previous lights when they first came in. So as you change the colors here, even at 10%, there's no abrupt jumps in here. And you press the button once again, here's your saturation mode. Another thing they actually improved big time on the software here. So I'm at 100% right now. So let me decrease to 90%. You still have a very decent amount of green here. At 80%, it's still green. 70%, still somewhat green. And 60%, you still have the green color here. Let me go 50% here. And that's when the light is going to start to almost fade to white. The previous GVM models, as soon as you set anything below 90%, the lights are pretty much almost on a white state, which is definitely not the true white, because when all the RGBs they are together, all the colors, that's when you get the white, but the white doesn't represent that it's going to be pure white, the correct light for your camera. It's just a white on the RGB, just so you know. Now, there are two things that really matter when you're buying these lights here. The number one, of course, is price. The more you can afford, the better, right? And also the most important thing, the light's performance. How does it perform? And next, I'm going to show you guys an example how these lights will look like without purchasing any additional accessories, no barn doors, no extra diffusers, just whatever it came with this package here, which are the tree stands, the lights themselves, and the power supply and the power cords, nothing else. So as you can see here, I have this light here as a key light and the other one used to splash some light on the background. And in this example, again, I'm using one of these lights as a main key light and the other one is placed on the boom slightly over my head to actually separate my body from the background. You can use this light again for hair light, to shine things in the background. So there are many ways to utilize this light to make a production happen. Every time you can't bring a ton of equipment, you need something light, unobtrusive, something that requires like very little time to set up. So this is definitely the light to go, especially because of this diffuser here. I'm so glad again that I don't have to attach that extra diffuser here. So using these panels here, to my opinion, as far as GVM panels go in this same class and type here, these lights have become my favorite panels because of the diffusion, and also every time that I don't have time to set up big lights and everything else, I can actually take this to a broader preparation, just to aim the light a little bit there. When it's time to go, it's just 2 lights and a couple power cords to pack it up on a stand and just go to the next location. Any corporate video that you actually don't have a lot of time, or the client has a smaller budget that does not allow you to bring a ton of lights over there, or if you're shooting in a small room. So again, these lights are definitely going to be in my inventory every single time I want something quick. And these lights we can also, of course, match with the bigger lights as well. But this lights, in my opinion, I'm going to take it to something that requires very little time to set up things. And these are very useful for that. I like to protect my gear from scratches, from dust and other things. And I also like to be unpacking a shiny equipment, which impresses the client every single time. They say, wow, your equipment is brand new. Yes. So one thing that I really like about this company is because they include the case with everything. 95% of the lights you buy from GVM, most likely they're going to be including a case with it. Except the 10%, this light here, the GVM RGB 20W, does not come with a case. So I have to spend about 4 hours finding the perfect case, because you got to measure the light, you got to measure the case, the depth, the height. And this one here houses the light perfectly, plus the power supply and the cables without touching each other. So that took me a long time to find, because most likely when you are actually shopping for cases on eBay, Amazon, B&H for whatever light that you have, most likely the case is going to be too tall, too wide, too short. So again, it's a big plus that GVM always include a case, especially for lights like this. If you buy the 50RS, the kit, guess what? It also comes with the case. Even if you buy the single light, also comes with the case. I've seen people doing this on the internet a lot. Before you place the light on top of the stand, make sure you don't open the stand this way. Make sure it is set to the widest setting, as it provides you full stability. Another tip for you, if you're rising the stand to its full length, make sure you always drop an inch or so back to the pipe, which makes the whole stand a lot more sturdy. The stand actually measures 6.5 feet. I'm not sure why the other YouTube channels, they don't show you this, but I'm glad to show you here in real time every single one of these effects here. So here's the lightning effect. Next one will be the cop car, candle, TV, and here's the bed bulb. You can actually go from 2700 Kelvin all the way to 10,000. I guess I'm gonna choose here like 8,000. Next will be the party mode. You can also control the brightness or the timing here from 100 milliseconds all the way to 5 seconds. So let's go to about a second here. So it's going to hold that color. Every second it's going to be changing to the next color. Go back to 100 here. Next one will be the disco, which is similar to the party mode at 100 milliseconds. As soon as you start changing the time here, the difference is going to be flashing now, the same color. In this case here, 1 second is going to change to the other color. Now if you want to go back to the party mode at this rate here, 5 seconds, there's nothing going on because the light is still counting 5 seconds. There you go. Now it's going to hold that color for 5 seconds and it will not change until the 5 seconds have elapsed. Next will be the paparazzi. And that's pretty much it for the effects. Next, I'm going to show you guys how to use the GVM Easily app in full detail, and I have done this numerous times in my previous GVM light reviews here, so I'm going to use the other clips from my previous videos. And that's the end of my review. If you like what you saw, please consider subscribing to this channel for more contents like this in full detail. This is definitely the channel to watch. And if you're kind enough to give me the big old thumbs up, I would appreciate it. It means that I'm doing a good job here. And if you care to leave a comment as well, I'll respond to everything that I see there. So thank you again very much for watching, and I'll see you next time.